Imagine for a second, just, picture this. You have a roommate who follows you everywhere,
Oh boy.
right? Like, and I mean literally everywhere. They sit next to you at work, they ride in the passenger seat of your car, they even stand right by your bed when you're just trying to sleep.
That sounds like an absolute nightmare,
It
honestly.
gets worse because they never, ever stop talking. They constantly narrate what you're doing.
Yeah.
They endlessly point out your flaws. They remind you of that really embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago.
Oh, I hate that.
Exactly. And they are perpetually panicked about what might happen tomorrow. Just nonstop anxiety.
Well, I mean, if that were a real physical person in your house, you would pack your bags and move out immediately.
Sure.
Or you'd change the locks. Like, you would do absolutely anything to escape them.
You wouldn't tolerate it for a single afternoon. But, and here's the wild part, you live with this roommate every single second of your life.
Because that roommate is your own mind.
Exactly. So welcome to the deep dive. Today we are exploring some incredible materials surrounding Rhonda Byrne's teachings. Specifically, we're doing a breakdown of her book, The Greatest Secret, using insights from the Life Lift Insights channel.
It's such a fascinating topic.
It really is. And our mission today, whether you are, stressed, prepping for a big meeting, or just overwhelmed by the constant stream of information out there, we are going to cut through the noise. This deep dive is designed to offer you a radical shortcut to inner peace and emotional freedom.
Which I think we all desperately need right now.
Absolutely. Okay, let's unpack this, because this exploration is going to challenge everything you think you know about your own identity and that bossy roommate in your head.
Yeah, the text really challenges our fundamental assumptions about the mind. It promises to reconnect us with the power we already possess, but it is a profound unlearning process.
Unlearning, like what do we have to unlearn?
Well, before we can understand the greatest secret, we have to separate the signal from the noise. We have to take a really hard look at what we are not before we can understand what we actually are.
Right, because we spend decades, our whole lives, building up this identity based on our preferences and memories and anxieties. We just assume that all this mental chatter is the core of our being.
Exactly. But the massive revelation we are unpacking right out of the gate is simply this: you are not your mind.
Which sounds crazy at first.
It does. You are not your thoughts.
I know for most of my life, I've just operated under the assumption that the voice in my head is me. Like if I think a thought, well, that is me speaking.
Right. We are deeply conditioned to identify completely with the thinking mind. I mean, it is how we navigate school, our careers, our social lives. We are literally rewarded for our thoughts.
What's the alternative then?
The alternative presented here is that you are simply the awareness behind those thoughts.
The awareness?
Yeah. If you watch closely, thoughts come and go constantly. They are entirely transient. One minute you're panicking about a deadline, the next you're wondering what's in the fridge for dinner.
That is so true.
So if these thoughts can just disappear and you are still here, they cannot possibly be the fundamental core of who you are. You are the space in which the thoughts occur.
So if I'm understanding this right, it's like that common analogy of the ocean. My thoughts are just waves, but I am the entire ocean.
Yes, that's a perfect way to look at it.
But how does that actually change our day-to-day stress? Because the waves still feel pretty rough sometimes.
Well, what's fascinating here is the psychological relief that comes with this detachment. Think about being in a movie theater.
Okay, I'm tracking.
When you're sitting in a dark theater, fully engrossed in a horror movie, you are terrified by the monster on the screen. Your heart rate spikes, your palms sweat.
You're just totally lost in the illusion.
Exactly. You're lost in it. But the practice of shifting your awareness is just, well, it's just turning your head slightly to see the projector beam behind you.
Oh, wow. So you suddenly realize it's just light hitting a wall.
Precisely. You don't have to turn off the movie. You just stop believing you're inside it. And that shift from the screen to the projector is where the physical relief actually happens.
Because you're breaking a biological cycle.
Yeah. When we are caught in the wave or lost in the movie, our brain's threat detection system, the amygdala, is just firing on all cylinders. It treats a stressful thought about an upcoming presentation exactly like a physical predator in the room.
So it pumps cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream over an email.
Over an email. But when you step back into that seat of awareness, you break that neurological feedback loop. You recognize a panic about a deadline as just a temporary ripple on the surface.
So it's no longer a threat to your existence, which signals your nervous system to stand down.
Right. You don't have to stop the wave, and you don't have to fight the monster on the screen. You just realize the wave isn't you.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. If we aren't our thoughts, what exactly is that loud, bossy roommate constantly worrying about everything? Because it feels incredibly dominant for something that supposedly isn't us.
So the source material uses a second great analogy here. Think of your true underlying awareness as the sky.
The sky, okay.
And your thoughts, your emotions, your daily problems, those are just clouds passing through.
And the sky remains untouched.
Exactly. The sky doesn't fight the cloud. The sky isn't damaged by the lightning. Now, contrast this pure, peaceful awareness with what the text calls the ego.
Right, the ego,
Yeah.
which it defines as just a collection of thoughts, right?
Yeah, it's a cluster of conditioned beliefs, usually centered around survival and social standing. It is that specific voice telling us things like, I'm not good enough, or I need more, or I must control everything.
I get the sky and clouds idea, but when the ego says, you know, you're going to get fired today, that doesn't feel like a passing cumulus cloud. It feels like a Category 5 hurricane.
It really does.
Why does it feel so incredibly real and powerful to us? Why is our brain wired to treat these phantom thoughts as life or death realities?
Because of the evolutionary function of the ego. For early humans, being rejected by the tribe literally meant physical death. You couldn't survive alone out in the wild.
Oh, sure.
So the brain evolved to treat social threats, status drops, or just general uncertainty as literal life or death scenarios. The ego feels real because we invest our entire identity into those passing thoughts. We give them our belief.
But the power of the ego is dismantled by a very specific mechanism, isn't it? Just observing it rather than believing it.
Yes, observing instead of believing. When you hear the thought, I'm a failure, the ego's default path is for you to merge with that thought.
You start agreeing with it. You say, yeah, I'm a failure. Look at all the mistakes I've made.
Exactly. You start feeding it evidence. But pure awareness just notices the neurological event happening. It says, there's a thought about failing passing through.
Labeling it.
Yeah, and this simple act of labeling a thought as an object shifts your brain activity. You actually move out of the reactive emotional center and into the prefrontal cortex, which is the area responsible for objective analysis and regulation.
So shifting your identity to the awareness watching the thoughts is the literal foundation of emotional healing.
It is. You break free from chasing validation.
So instead of trying to shout down the voice saying, I'm broke, with a louder voice saying, I'm rich, you're just turning the volume dial down on the whole radio.
You're refusing to participate in the debate altogether.
I love that.
Yeah.
But let's put this in the real world for a second, playing devil's advocate here.
Okay, go for it.
It is one thing to calmly observe the ego when you're sitting quietly on a meditation cushion, right? But what happens when the ego throws an absolute tantrum?
Right, when life actually hits you.
Yeah. Say you or, the listener just received some genuinely terrible news. A bad medical diagnosis or a sudden breakup. Are you just supposed to sit there and be sad? Sitting back and saying, I am the sky, feels almost impossible. The instinct is to fight the feeling, to fix it.
Well, this is perhaps the most counterintuitive yet vital approach to ending suffering in this whole philosophy. The source material highlights that you have to allow feelings to be exactly as they are.
Do not push them away.
Exactly. When we feel intense sadness or fear, our immediate instinct is resistance. We try to distract ourselves, we numb out, we judge ourselves for being weak.
Or we desperately try to strategize our way out of these emotional pain. We treat our emotions like math problems to be solved rather than physical sensations to be felt.
Yes. And society constantly reinforces this. We tell people, stop crying, pull it together, look on the bright side.
We view feeling bad as a failure of character almost.
We do. But that resistance is exactly what traps the emotion inside the body. When you fight a feeling like anxiety, you are sending a secondary signal to your brain's threat center that there's a danger inside you.
Oh, wow. So your brain responds by pumping more stress hormones to deal with this internal threat, which just makes the anxiety worse.
You create an endless, self-sustaining loop. Resistance only makes emotions stronger. The radical act is just letting them be. Do not judge them. Do not try to fix them.
I have to pause here because this language can be tricky. When we hear the phrase letting go, we usually think of an action, like physically letting go of a rope. Isn't letting go an action you have to take? If I am gripped by grief, how do I actively let go of something that is actively hurting me?
This is the core paradox that the text clarifies. Letting go is not a verb. It is not an action you take. It is the absence of resistance.
It's an allowing.
Exactly. Think of an intense emotion like a tightly knotted rope. When you try to forcefully pull it apart, when you resist it, you just pull the strings tighter. But letting go is simply dropping your hands and letting the knot rest there.
Okay, so what does that allowing physically feel like? Because I know when I'm stressed, my shoulders are up by my ears, my jaw's clenched, my whole body is bracing for impact.
Allowing physically feels like a softening. You notice the tightness in your chest or the knot in your stomach, and instead of saying, "This is bad, I need this to stop," you just observe it.
You bring your awareness to the physical sensation.
Yeah. And interestingly, from a neurochemical perspective, the actual chemical half-life of an emotion, the time it takes for the adrenaline and cortisol to flush through your system, is only about 90 seconds.
Wait, really? 90 seconds.
That's it. If you don't feed it with a secondary story, if you
Hmm.
just feel the physical sensation of anger or sadness without attaching the narrative of, who did this to me or why does this always happen?
The chemical wave washes through your body in a minute and a half.
Yes. The reason we stay angry for days or anxious for months is because we constantly reignite the emotion with our thoughts. We resist the feeling, we tell stories about it, and we trap it.
By observing a feeling without resistance, it dissolves naturally.
They have to be fully felt to be fully released. This is the actual mechanism for how emotional wounds heal.
You are giving the emotion the space to move through you, rather than barricading the doors and trapping it inside your own house.
Perfectly said.
And once you stop resisting your internal feelings, your external world starts to shift in some pretty major ways. Which brings us to Rhonda Byrne's famous concept, the law of attraction, but with a much deeper, more nuanced twist than we usually hear.
Right. Much of the early popularization of the law of attraction focused heavily on visualizing exactly what you want to acquire, like making a vision board and waiting for a sports car to appear.
Yeah, the classic 2006 version of it.
Exactly. But the greatest secret goes way deeper than just visualizing. It argues that your inner state is the absolute blueprint for your outer world.
Fear attracts fear, peace attracts peace.
Yes. Abundance, whether that means financial opportunities, deep relationships, or clear direction, is described as a frequency, and your inner state is the transmitter.
I want to ground this idea of frequency because to a highly analytical listener, that can sound a bit, well, woo-woo.
Sure.
But there is actual behavioral psychology at play here. When you are in a state of deep stress or fear, your brain relies on the reticular activating system, the RAS, to scan your environment entirely for threats.
Right.
You literally cannot see opportunities because your biological hardware is filtering them out.
That is an excellent way to frame it. Add to that confirmation bias and nonverbal communication. When your internal state's broadcasting anxiety or scarcity, your body language is closed off.
Your microexpressions signal distrust.
And people respond to that. They pull away from you, deals fall through, and conflicts escalate, which then validates your initial fear. You attracted the exact scenario you were worried about.
But when you operate from a frequency of peace, when you have detached from the ego and are resting in pure awareness, your nervous system is calm.
You are open, curious, and resilient. You notice opportunities that a stressed brain would filter out. People naturally gravitate toward you because calm energy is incredibly magnetic.
Wait, so I'm having an aha moment here. The real work isn't forcing yourself to think, I am rich or I am happy 100 times a day, while internally your heart is pounding with terror.
No, not at all.
It's actually the opposite of forcing thoughts. The work is recognizing that the terror isn't you. You clear the static.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the path to abundance is always inner first, outer next. You don't achieve peace by frantically manipulating everything in your external life to be perfect.
You return to your natural state of peaceful awareness first.
Exactly. By simply returning to that state, desires manifest effortlessly because you aren't fighting the current of reality. You don't chase abundance, you align with it.
That sounds beautiful in theory. But philosophy without application is just entertainment. How do we actually apply this while sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic, gripping the steering wheel, running 20 minutes late to a Tuesday morning meeting?
Right, the real test. The text provides a daily transformation tool for exactly this, and that is the practice of presence.
Okay, what are the mechanics of that? If I'm fuming in traffic, how do I pull this abstract awareness into a crowded commute?
The steps are simple, though they do require discipline. First, anchor your physical body. Notice your breath. Feel the texture of the steering wheel against your hands.
Bringing attention to this exact moment. Okay, step 2.
Second, observe your thoughts without reacting. Notice the voice in your head saying, I'm going to get fired for being late, and just label it. Say to yourself, thinking.
Okay, step 3.
Third, feel your emotions without resisting. Notice the heat in your chest. Don't try to force yourself to be calm. Just allow the frustration to exist.
In the final step.
Finally, Bring your attention entirely to the physical world around you, the cars, the light, the sky. You step out of the mental movie and back into physical reality.
But the bossy roommate always grabs the microphone right back. I can be present for maybe 30 seconds, and then I'm back to worrying about my inbox. How do we prevent ourselves from slipping back into the ego's trap? Do we just fail the practice the second we get distracted?
Not at all. Presence is the active solvent for fear and stress. And it is a continuous practice. You do not fail when you get distracted. The victory is entirely in the return.
The victory is in the return. I like that.
Every single time you catch yourself lost in a thought and you consciously choose to step back into awareness, you are rewiring your brain. You are weakening the neural pathways of the ego and strengthening the pathways of observation.
It's a lifelong process of stepping out of the wave and back into the stillness of the ocean below. You are systematically turning down the volume on the roommate, one realization at a time.
Exactly. The more present you become, the more your life transforms.
We've covered some immense psychological and philosophical ground today exploring these insights. If there's one ultimate takeaway to pull from all of this, it's that your identity is infinitely larger than the voice in your head.
Absolutely.
You are not your body. You are not your anxious thoughts, your fears, or your past mistakes. You are pure, infinite, unchanging awareness. And realizing this, peeling back the layers of the ego, it just makes navigating this world lighter, easier, and endlessly more joyful.
It shifts you from being a hostage of your thoughts to being the serene observer of your own life.
So we have a direct challenge for you today. Take this off the philosophical whiteboard and put it to the test.
Hmm.
Just once today, when you feel a spike of stress or frustration, stop. Notice the thought passing by on the movie screen.
Don't engage with it. Don't fight it. Just notice it.
Allow the physical feeling to exist in your body without trying to fix it, and watch it dissolve. Remember that this emotional freedom is already within you. It's not something to find, but something to awaken to.
You know, this raises an important question for us to leave on, a philosophical thread to untangle on your own.
Oh, I'm ready. Let's hear it.
If your true identity is just pure, unchanging awareness, and everyone else around you is also made of that exact same pure awareness, what does that mean for how we view the people who irritate us the most? Are we all just the same sky, getting endlessly distracted by each other's clouds?
Wow. Now that is a perspective shift that changes everything. Next time that loud roommate in your head starts complaining about the traffic or your boss or the state of the world, just remember, you don't have to argue with them. You can just watch them talk, smile, and enjoy the silence underneath the noise. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.